Hey guys, it's Dark with Cyclone FPV, and we are now going to do a setup on the X9 Lite radio. All right, so we've been doing a series of how to set up, and I'm redoing them all, and I'm moving a little slower, making the videos a little shorter. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. So you need to have watched the previous steps. So we've got, let me go back to our playlist. I'm looking on the computer here. Let me show you what I'm looking at, right? So here, let's just do it like that. So I've got on our playlist right here, right? So here's the new playlist that we did that I've uploaded, okay? And so you can see here that we've got steps 1, how to download OpenTX, step 2, how to set it up. Part 3 is the SD card, and it is important that you watch this part because I'm going to take everything up to here. So I'm going to assume you've watched all these, all right? The only difference now is we're going to do part 4. We're going to do part 3 and part 4 kind of, but I'm going to go straight into part 4, flashing the firmware for the X9 Lite, okay? So you need to have done part 3, except you need to make sure that you download, sorry about that, you need to make sure that you've downloaded the SD card contents for the X9 Lite. So I'm going to show you how to set that up for the X9 Lite right now. I guess this will actually be part 3 for the X9 Lite. So here we go, okay guys? So let me just jump right into it. So the first thing is we're going to switch over to OpenTX. You should be familiar with this already. And I'm going to actually recreate this, this model. So I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go to radio profiles, and I already have an X9 Lite set up, but I'm going to just delete it, and we're going to start over. So we're going to say delete current radio profile. I'm going to click yes. Now, I want to do as if we're setting up a new X9 Lite, okay? So on the new X9 Lite, I'm going to click Settings, Radio Profiles, Add Radio Profile, and I'm going to go to the profile name, and I'm going to call it X9 Lite. Now, I'm just going to put it as Access because I'm making note that if it's, now X9 Lites were always Access, but I'm just going to do that as a habit so everything is set up the same way. So X9 Lite Access, and again, we're going to drop down here, we're going to find our X9 Lite. It's not an S version. If you do have the S version, then select that one. This is the standard X9 Lite. And I want you to select No Heli, Flex R9M, and Lua. And just that's it, okay? As far as your SD structure path, we're going to create the folder now. So watch what we do. We're going to click Select Folder. Then we're going to go to our desktop. Now, if you've watched the first 2 videos, you'll know what we're doing. We've created a transmitter folder on our desktop right here. We're going to double click that. We're going to right click anywhere here on the screen, go to New, and left click on Folder. And we're going to call it, I'm going to call it Customer X9 Lite. You call it whatever you want for your own stuff. X9 Lite. I'm going to double click that. Then somewhere in here, I'm going to right click, go to New, go to Folder, and I'm going to type in SD card, just like that. Okay? So we're going to leave that. And we should be set to go, okay? So that's for our SD card. We're going to click Select Folder now. As long as you see SD card down here, you're good. Select Folder. Now, we have to do a backup folder. So again, we're going to click Select Folder. And on our first videos, we created a backup folder in our transmitter folder on the desktop. So you go to your desktop, go to the transmitter folder we created, and then we made a folder called Backup. If you haven't done it, and this is your first time, you needed to watch those videos, simply just right-click here, go to New, click Folder, and then name it Backup. But that should be there because you would have watched the first videos, okay? So we're going to select Backup, make sure it fills up in the folders here, click Select Folder. Let's scroll down and select our options. First one is Enable Automatic Backup before writing firmware. We're going to check it. We're going to leave the default stick mode to mode 2 and the channel order RETA. We're going to check to append, and we're going to check to offer after we download. Then we're going to go to our application settings at the top, and we're going to make sure that everything is checked the same here, okay? And as long as it all looks good, remove models, enable. This is our backup folder here. Again, if you don't have this filled in, you need to click Select Folder, and then you go to Desktop, and then you go to your transmitter, and then you can select Backup, and you're good, okay? Enable the automatic backup, and you're done. At that point, just click OK, all right? Now, I've already downloaded this firmware, but I'm going to do it again. So what you're going to do is you're going to click this download button here, right? Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, click that. And I've already downloaded this, so it's not going to show it. If you haven't downloaded the newest version, you could click check for updates. It'll say, oh, there's a new update you haven't downloaded. Do you want to do that? Since I've already done it, I'm just going to download it again for you, okay? So I'm going to click download firmware. And it's going to bring it down for me and ask me where I want to save it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Desktop, Transmitter, X9 Lite. Then I'm going to right click anywhere on the screen here, and I'm going to left click, I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to left click on folder, and I'm going to type in OpenTX-FW and hit enter. That stands for OpenTX Firmware. Okay, now that you've created that folder, we're going to double click it, and remember, we're going to shorten this name down, okay? So we're going to take out everything but this. So it's going to say OpenTX-2.3.11-OTX.bin. The reason we shrink it down is because it's very hard to read a long name on a screen this size. This is easier, so go ahead and do that. And then as long as you're in your OpenTX-FW folder, click Save. Okay, now this is going to keep it organized, perfect for you, okay? So I do not want to write it right now because my radio is not plugged in. So I'm going to click No. The next thing you want to do is you want to click here to download your SD contents. When you click that, it's going to take you to this page here, and you're going to see up here 2.3 release, and it's for the OpenTX X9Lite, which is what you're working with. You will click this link, the most recent one, at the bottom, okay? So right now the video ends in, this is 2.3 version 0035. By the time you watch this, it may update once. So just click the newest one. And I've already done this, but here's what's going to happen. It's going to download the zip file, which is going to look like this. Okay, and it could take anywhere from a few minutes to 10 minutes, depending on how busy it is. So here's the folder right here. Once the file is done being downloaded, it's going to go most likely into your downloads folder. I want you to right-click on it, and I want you to left-click on copy. Okay, and then I want you to close your downloads folder. You can minimize the web, and what we want to do is we want to go to your desktop. Go to your transmitter folder, go to your X9Lite, and then I want you to right-click anywhere on the screen here and left-click on paste. And that's going to bring that zip file over into our radio folder. From there, I want you to right-click on the zip file, and I want you to left-click on Extract All. And at that point, just click Extract, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to go ahead and extract, okay? Now, while that is happening, there's something different about this than the first video that we did with a brand new blank SD card. The difference is I have an SD card in my radio here, okay? So let me just show you here. So I have an SD card in my radio, right, that I have already formatted and set up with all the SD card contents for the 2.3.10. So it's an earlier version than this one, okay? Now, the problem is that we want to go ahead and remove all the things that we don't need from it because we're going to have we can't load the new firmware that we're downloading and load the old card content. So we're downloading the new SD card contents right now. So what you can do is you can if you have a blank SD card, then you can just copy everything over, okay? I'm going to go ahead and show you now, if you don't have a blank SD card, what you're going to do, especially if you're setting up a new model, okay? So here goes. First thing we're going to do is we're going to hold the sub trims in together like we would on the other radio. Hold those in. While holding those, press the power button and then let go. You're going to end up with this screen that shows you your bootloader, shows you your firmware, and then it gives you three options: write firmware, restore EEPROM, or exit. What I want you to do is at this point take your micro USB and plug it in, okay? And let me show you what's going to happen because we're going to go over to the computer screen here. So let me show you this. Now, this screen that you're looking at right now. The SD card was finished extracting the files from the SD card folder. So I'm just going to close that right now because what we're waiting for is we're going to see two screens pop up, and they'll just pop up. It's reading the radio. And you're going to see two screens pop up. One's going to be called Tyrannus, and the other one's going to be called New. Oh, what is it called? New volume. Okay. So here's the first one. As you can see, it's called Tyrannus. We're going to close that. You don't want to mess with that folder at all. This is the other one, New Volume. New Volume is the name of my SD card. And if you watched the first videos, you would have seen when we formatted it, I said leave it as the name New Volume. So this is the version that was on here prior to the new one that we just downloaded. What matters to me, okay, is that I don't lose my models, for example, or anything else. So you have a models folder. Mine here are empty. I have my models already. I have all my firmware stored, though, and I don't want to lose that either, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. Now, if you have a brand new SD card, follow the instructions from video 3 that shows you how to copy those contents over. So make sure you watch videos 1, 2, and 3 first, okay? Then you would understand what we're going to do here. But for those of you that have not done, for those of you that have an SD card already loaded and you have not made the profile on your computer, I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to preserve what we have, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to close my new volume folder, and I'm going to go to my customer X9Lite folder, or whatever folder you've labeled it as, and right here are the SD card contents we extracted. First thing we're going to do is we're going to double click and we're going to go to sounds. You're going to double click that, and you're going to delete the folders that you don't need the languages for. So for example, I'm deleting everything but the English folder. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to right click and click delete. I'm going to right click and click, oops, right click here and click delete, and there we go. So right now all I have left is my English folder, and then I can go back one and I can see here's all my SD card contents. Okay, so I'm going to now, just like we did in the video number 3, I'm going to highlight all of these. I'm going to right click and I'm going to left click on cut. Okay, then I'm going to go up one to my customer X9Lite folder, click that, and I'm going to find my SD card folder that we created when we did the profile setup. I'm going to double click on it, and then I'm going to right click anywhere on the screen here. I'm going to left click on paste. And basically what I've done is taken those SD card contents and moved them over. Okay, now if I have on here my new volume, which is my SD card that's in my current radio, if I want to save anything, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click it, and I'm going to look. I don't care about sounds, I don't care about anything, I haven't changed anything. All I care about, there's nothing in my model screen. I thought there would be, but there's not, because everything's been saved to the radio. So only thing I do want to make sure I save is my firmwares folder, okay? Because I like these. These I try to keep as many as I can updated. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to copy the readme.txt. So just click the 3 folders you need, right click, left click on copy. Then you can go to your desktop over here, find your transmitter folder, find your X9Lite folder, find your SD card folder, go into your firmware, and then right click anywhere here and click paste. So we've at least moved these items over, okay? We're going to wait for that to happen. All right, now I've got them moved over. I feel good about it. Everything here is good. Now you can do one or two things at this point. For me, I'm just going to go to my new volume, which was my files from before, and I'm going to highlight everything now that I've got everything copied, and I'm going to left click and just click delete. And I'm just going to empty my SD card that's plugged into my radio. I don't need them anymore. I've copied everything I needed. Now, if you had scripts or anything else, you want to copy them over, but this is how I do it to make sure that I've got everything I need, all right? So my SD card is now empty, right? So I'm going to go back to my desktop, back to my transmitter, back to my X9Lite, and back to my SD card here, and there are my files, okay? The only thing we haven't done yet is we haven't copied the OpenTX firmware update that we did. So go back to your X9Lite folder, you find your OpenTX firmware, right? Click it, and then I want you to right click on the file, left click on cut, go back to your X9Lite, go to your SD card, go to your firmware folder, your OpenTX, and I want you to right click and click paste. Now, as you can see, I had the X9Lite 2.3.10 on here from before. I'm now loading the new one, okay? Good. So what you should look like now is you have your SD card. Now this folder is empty, so you can right click on it and delete. This folder is empty, so you can right click on it and delete. Okay, and I'm going to leave the zip folder here in case I ever need it in the future. With that done, I'm going to go back now to my OpenTX. I'm going to click OK. And now I want to synchronize my SD card with my folder on the hard drive. So I'm going to click the synchronize icon right here, and it asks me, where is my SD card? Well, this is for when I did the QX7S, so that's not correct. So I want to go ahead and I want to click the folder, and I want to go to desktop, transmitter, X9Lite, then SD card, and click select folder. That's where my contents are, and I want to make sure that D is the correct drive. The correct SD card should say new volume. It does, so I'm going to leave everything else like it is, and I'm going to click start. And right now what we're going to see is the radio is going to start synchronizing. The computer and the radio are going to synchronize, and you're going to see it right here. There's 334 files, and that's on file 40 and 41, and it is creating each of those, which means it is copying the newest stuff over, okay? So we're gonna let that go really quickly, and then I'm gonna show you where to go from here. So let's give it a second. I'm not sure how long that's gonna take. It shouldn't be too bad, but at least you understand that if you don't have, if your SD card is new, then follow the steps that were in step 3 when we were doing the QX7. It's the same thing, you just download the X9 Lite version instead, okay? But follow the same steps, formatting the card, copying the files over. If you have contents that you want to save, this method is a great way to go ahead and do that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And it looks like it's going to take just a few minutes. That's not a problem, all right? We're going to let that happen. At the same time, I can go ahead and just look at a few of these icons here. So we can read the models from the radio. If we click it, it should be able to run. These are the models that are on my radio, on the internal memory, okay? And we're going to actually be going through how to set some of these up. So I set up an ACCST 2.1 test on here. I did the FrSky MQ60, an RxSR, and so forth. So we're going to be doing this, but I'm actually going to be doing a couple more for you guys when we get there. However, though, a good something to show you right now is that if we have, oh wait, you know what, we're done. So let me close this real quick. All right, so as you can see here, it says there's a total of 668. That's 334 on the hard drive and now 334 on the SD card. Everything worked with no problem. If I click start again, watch. It's going to zoom through it now. There's been no changes. Okay? There's no errors, and it skipped all of them because there's been no updates. When that's done, you can go ahead and click close. Now, we downloaded the firmware for the radio. Now we want to go ahead and flash the radio. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to flash the radio. We can click this. We can click the icon here. Or you can just simply, now that you've downloaded it, you can go ahead and find the icon right here that says Write Firmware to Radio. Click that. And now you need to make sure you find your firmware. So click Load, and then go to your desktop, transmitter, X9 Lite, SD card, firmware, open TXFW, and then select the most recent one, which is 2.3.11. Double click it. And make sure when this pops up that you do have a check hardware compatibility, that you have this checked, and you can use the firmware screen. That doesn't matter. So as long as this is checked and this is here and you've got your file selected, click Write to TX. And it is going to write very quickly, okay? Once it's done now, you're going to click Close. Now you're not done though, okay? So what you have to do now is, remember, you have to safely eject this because you still haven't updated your bootloader. Let me show you what happens. First thing you do is go to your USB eject here, left click on it, and then left click on Tyrannus E. Then click it again and left click on eject new volume D. Then left click on it, make sure there's nothing left, and at that point you can go ahead and unplug your radio, okay? And now we're gonna make the radio the focus here. So once you've done that, what you can see at the bottom is it says X9 Lite 2.3.11, and it says bootloader 2.3.10. So we have a difference there on the firmware. I'm going to show you how to update that, okay? So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to Exit. So scroll and then press that button.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Okay, we're going to hit Exit, and we're going to now turn the radio. Actually, no, we're going to leave the radio on. Sorry, we're going to do this a different way. So now when you get to your screen, whatever it says, it may say Model 1 or what have you if it's new, hold your menu button down for a couple seconds and you get to this tool screen, press Page, and you're going to get to your SD card content screen. I want you to scroll down to Firmware. Then I want you to scroll down to OpenTX Firmware. Whoops. Okay, you see how the file here is longer and it's cut off. It's not even the full file. This thing would have been so long that it gets hard to see the version. That's why we cut it back. We want to go to the newest version, which is 2.3.11. I want you to hold the button down. So basically you're going to take this wheel and you're going to press it for a long press, and it's going to say Flash Bootloader, and just click Enter there, and it's writing, and it's done. That's it. Once you finish that, click Exit, Exit, and look at that. Right at this point, we can go ahead and turn the radio off, and you're done. Okay? And that is how you update the firmware on your radio, okay? The next series that we're going to do on the X9 Lite is going to be setting up the radio for a particular drone that we're doing for some students, okay? Guys, if you have any questions, please, as always, you can always go to our Facebook group and post your questions there, or you can find me online or send me an email, but also please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It means a lot to me, and my kids are always watching it, so I appreciate you very much for that. Other than that, guys, God bless, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.